Hello again. This is Dr. Bill Johnson. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Exploring Our Schools. We've done this in the past, and we're going to do it again today because it's such an exciting part of what happens here at Southside High School. We're going to focus on the fall drama, but also take it to another dimension as well as to some of the motivations as to the reasons why some of our students really take this on. So at any rate, I'd like to start by introducing some of the people, not some, all of the people that are with us today. Deborah Tanklau, who is a longstanding member of our staff here at Southside High School and an outstanding English teacher. Thank you very much for joining us. Stephanie Rhodes, you've been here before, but I really am thrilled that you were able to come back again.
Thank you.
All right, and Brandon Astor, who's a vital part of the play. We're going to get to you two guys in just a minute, but I'd like to start with you, and if you could, as we've done in the past, tell us a little bit about what the play is that has been selected and why we chose it.
Okay, the play is called A Gap in Generation, and it's a pretty obscure piece. I only know about it because some years back I saw a friend's daughter in a production of it, and it was funny, and I liked it, and I always sort of kept it in my back pocket as something I want to do someday. So what it is, it's in the style of, it was written in the 70s by a professor and his students, college professor collaboration. And it's in the style of commedia dell'arte, which is an Italian style from the 1500s.
Slapstick.
Lots of slapstick stock characters, the cranky old men, the misers, the sexy wenches, the puffed up police officer. So we have all those characters, but what it reflects about the 70s is the two young men are, one's a campus radical and the other's a hippie. So that reflects the era that it was written in. So it can be done a lot of ways. It can be done completely as if it were a pure commedia piece written in, as if it were in the 1500s. But we've made a real mashup of it because we think that's appropriate to the style. So we've added song and dance, and I mean there is song in it, but we threw out the songs that were in the play and incorporated our own. One of our 11th graders, Melissa Eliada and Eileen McEntee, two of them, have choreographed a few dances for it. So traditionally, the characters wear masks to indicate who they are. We're using T-shirts. So the doctor has one of those, silk screen T-shirts with a stethoscope and that sort of thing, and the policeman has a badge and all that stuff. So we're using T-shirts instead of masks.
Is there a message in the play?
It's just about love and love. It's always about love, and it's slapstick.
There's nothing wrong with that as a theme.
No,
right?
it's a lot of slapstick and confusion and mixed up identities, all these typical things that we've seen in since then in Shakespeare and many other styles, and slapstick kind of thing we saw in vaudeville, and so we brought in vaudeville and all that kind of stuff. So it's a mashup of a lot of comic styles.
So I'm going to start with Brandon. So who are you in the?
I
one of these crotchety old men.
Yes, he is.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so I played Pantalone de Bessignosi. He's one of the stock characters of Commedia dell'arte. He's one of the old men, and his mannerisms and gestures are a lot different than seeing a show like on Broadway where you see like Dear Evan Hansen, someone's just walking around almost as.
So what kind of gestures are we talking about?
He normally is a hunch-over old man, and he kind of has his arms at his side like this, and in this show we explored it as him like limping in and shuffling along, and there's a lot of other stuff that add to the character, like Lotsies, in which with Pantalone, one of his Lotsies is farting. So a lot of the times in the show, when I sit down on a bed, we'll have the whoopee cushion go off or the fart machine. So that helps to add to the comedy, because a lot of times in commedia, stuff like that, Lotsies will kind of break away from the dialogue and add this humor aspect.
Yeah. So let me I keep hearing the word we in this. Mm-hmm. Did you have something to do with how the character is going to be portrayed?
Well, personally, I've studied Commedia dell'arte for my extended essay in IB theater, so I kind of had a preconception of who this character was. But going into it, the character analysis and kind of understanding who Pantalone di Bessignosi was came from Ms. Tanklo, myself, and other added research. So that was shaped from my initial preconceptions of him. And I also saw another show that has the same character. So I had a different thought pattern than this show. And this show also reflects a different Pantalone di Bessignosi. It's a more hypochondriac. In most productions, he's more greedy and more very concerned with his family's affairs and arrangements.
It's so interesting. You use the word shape. You actually shaped it with, I presume, you, and at the end, what it is that you've created a character, I think, that is somewhat consistent, I assume, with what the original author had intended, but you've really made your mark in more than way. It's just not a matter of remembering lines. You've really created a character that you helped shape.
Yeah, and it's also the text. I mean, these stock characters appear in many, many, many different scenarios. So, this one often does this one often does this. So in this particular text, they've made him, both of the old men are hypochondriacs, and they're dying any minute now. They also are greedy. They're also sort of lecherous. But sometimes there are plot incidents that just don't exist in this particular text that involve Pantalone or some of the other stock characters.
Now, how do you feel as a director when you do this, involving the students in actually creating a character, maybe at variance somewhat with what the author intended?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're taking a lot of liberties with this text. I mean, also improv.
You do that with a big smile on your face.
I have so
think
much fun. But improv and
doing
ad-libbing is a big part of Commedia dell'arte. So we're actually having some parts, and we have actually an ensemble, which we created. I mean, there is an ensemble. We have 10 people in the ensemble who do the dances and singing, but there are also a couple of them, 4 or 5 or 6 of them sitting in the audience, and they'll be, heckling and helping out and stuff like that. So yeah, we're putting our own mark. And then it's also everybody, I said, if you have an idea and it's funny and I think it's going to be funny, we'll go with it. And everybody has come up with something that is added to the humor of it. So it is a weed.
I'm going to turn to Stephanie, who's been here before. She's involved in every production that I can ever imagine that we've had here at Southside.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this is going to bear a little bit of your signature as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think this was definitely a group effort, this show. I think it was Ms. Tanklo and all the actors, including myself and the assistant director and the assistant stage managers. We all worked together to create this show and make it what it is now. I think if it was just one person, I don't think it would have as much character. I think all of us coming together and melding our minds and working on this show together helps express the idea of the plot and the idea of the funniness of Commedia dell'arte into the show more than maybe one person could be able to.
Now, are you going to stage manage this one? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm currently stage managing this show.
So what people don't understand is that, stage manager is a very simple term, but you've got to know everything about the play.
Very much so,
Right.
very much so.
Every cue, every little piece.
Yeah.
So you're standing there with the script throughout the entire play.
Yeah, this Saturday, actually, we have rehearsal where we do all of our technical aspects. All the sound comes in, the crew comes in, the lighting designer comes in, and everything comes together, and it makes the show magical. Because
So if you disagree with Brandon on the character that he's creating, is there anything?
I don't think there was ever really disagreement. I think there was collaboration to create it what we wanted it to be.
And to clarify it, because these are cartoony characters, so they have to be very clear as to who they are, because there's not a lot of depth to them. But one thing I just want to add is also, we have the play production class, and they built the sets, and we have this crazy cart that turns into a divan, and so I want to give them a nod too, because they work really hard painting and building and that sort of thing, and it's not complete yet, but it's when the lights come on and the set is done, that is truly a magical moment. Yeah. And Stephanie does know every second of the play. It's true.
It is an amazing, you don't remember every line, but you
She
have
does.
to know. Does she really?
Uh-huh.
It's not every line.
Pretty
It
much.
takes me a moment, though.
Okay.
It does.
She even knows the choreography.
Well, that I know. I know we've had that discussion before, and the attention to detail that you have got to, I mean, you've got to know every little detail.
Yeah, I gotta make sure that everything is either in place or everyone is in place or everything needs to be set correctly. And if it's not, I feel responsible for it because I knew it had to do that, but then it didn't happen. But then I realized I have an entire crew to back me up. Like, I have costume girls that I know will have everyone costumed, and hair and makeup girls that will put hair and, like, set up everything for me. And then I have prop girls, and I have my crew who will set up everything that needs to be on stage. And I have my lovely lighting, the master electrician, Emma Willis-Umdenstock, who I sit right next to during the entire show. And she and I are constantly back and forth, and I have other people on headset, and we're talking, and we're working out the show. And if there's ever a problem, it's fixed in an instant, because we all have such good communication amongst each other.
So it's really a team effort.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative art form.
Yeah, you know,
Question.
you mentioned IB before, and the IB theater that you guys are involved in. Could you talk a little bit about that and the connection between many of the students that you have?
Well, I don't teach IB theater.
I understand
yeah.
that, but the fact that I know you have the film course,
Right.
but the connection, maybe you guys could kind of help me out with that.
Yeah, probably they can answer
Between the connection, I know you started to say before that this is all part of your work in class as well. Maybe you could just kind of expand on that, how it helps you?
Well, I think that when you study a form of theater, especially a new one like Commedia dell'arte, it's very obscure in a good way. It's something out of your comfort zone, and this helped me in the show to kind of broaden my use of like slapstick and lotsies, which I could apply from class or from my extended essay. And so it helped in character development.
You know, a lot of that's on TV actually mimics Commedia dell'arte in the sense that
It's
it's
the
slapstick.
original literally
You know,
slapstick.
sometimes it's hard to watch.
Yeah,
But
it's painful.
nevertheless, you know, it's really all surface, and the characters don't get very, very deep.
Yeah.
It's like American sitcom. Most of it actually is influenced by Commedia dell'arte and a lot of other theater forms. There's French Renaissance theater. Shakespeare even has some connections and ties to Commedia. So it's really the heart of a lot of comedy.
But by going back in time and studying this, it give you a better understanding of what's happening right now.
Yeah, I think that in terms of theater history, and it brings this kind of like depth of time period, and that it's kind of interesting that something from the 1550s in Italy is relevant to 2017, and that can still be applied. It shows that art is timeless.
And people laugh at the same
Yeah.
silly
Yes. Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah, and in terms of the IB too, it was very fortuitous that both the 11th and 12th grade IB theater classes were studying Commedia during the rehearsal process. So we were very lucky that everybody was really engaged with it. And we were also lucky enough to have one of our students' sisters is a stage combat expert and came in and really improved and made our pratfalls work.
What do you mean by a combat expert?
Well, they teach you how to do things that would hurt people without hurting people, how to fall,
Oh,
how
my
to
goodness.
shove a cane into someone's stomach without actually hurting them. So, and also making them funnier, because that's not my area of expertise at all. So they came in and
I
spent.
never heard it described like
Yeah,
that.
no, stage combat is if you're a theater major in college, you do a whole class of stage combat with broadswords and stuff, because there's a lot of that in Shakespeare and a lot of plays. So, and you need to, the slap, the person who gets slapped actually does this, while, the person who slaps actually gives them a gentle tap. So there's all kinds of techniques to creating the illusion of hurting somebody without actually hurting them.
It's easier in film than it is
Sure.
on the stage. I mean,
Sure.
and you have to make sure that all that happens correctly.
Yeah, when the stage combat coordinators actually came in. They asked us to actually call the people who had the physical stunts a little bit earlier so we can go over and make sure that no one will get hurt while the production was going on. So that if something did go wrong, it would go wrong before the show started, and we could fix that problem
Right.
before the show.
Right, that we do that every day before we
Yeah.
go up, so that, to make sure that they're
Make sure it's
comfortable
well
with it.
practiced before you get on the
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yes, they did. That's a good thing to remember.
It is, as a
And
matter
I-
of fact. That's the
Stephanie
last
did,
thing
and I
we
did.
need to happen on, right.
Yeah,
right.
no.
Absolutely.
There's nothing particularly dangerous in this
No.
at all. It's really more a matter of selling it, of making the audience believe that it's happening, rather than anybody being in any danger. Nobody's doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, you're an IB student also, right?
Yes.
How's the connection between that and what you're doing here?
Well, I find that through IB Theater, I did learn a lot more about Commedia. In the past, I didn't really know about it, and I think IB Theater exposed me to more of it, and it helped me more point the show in the direction that I felt that Ms. Tanklow and everyone else wanted it to be in. And I think also learning about these different characters and learning about the context of Commedia helped me personally, because then I understood that how certain things need to be done. Like, there's certain walks that people need to do, and there's certain voices that people need to do, and we need to make sure that we, well, not necessarily make sure that we stick to them, but have an aspect of that in there.
Now, the theater course is pretty demanding. It requires a lot of work on your part, right?
Yes, I would say so. This was probably one of my bigger roles. I have over 200 lines in the show.
Did you count?
Yes, I did count. So a lot of the times it would be frustrating because you have to make sure you're not paraphrasing lines, and you have to make sure your continuity of them is correct, and the order and stuff and whatnot. So this was very demanding, and it was definitely out of my comfort zone. So
Okay. Now, one last thing before we finish. When and where?
Yes. We have 4 performances next Wednesday, the 15th, Thursday, the 16th, Friday, the 17th, Saturday, the 18th at 7:30.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, 4 performances, because we're.
You do one in the afternoon, I believe that's on, is that?
No, because the way we've arranged the stage, we're not using the full auditorium, we have seating on stage and in the pit. So there's only about 150 seats as opposed to the full auditorium.
Okay.
So we've done this before,
Mhm.
so we add an actual performance on Wednesday evening.
Okay.
And the dress
That's great.
rehearsals are Monday and Tuesday, yeah.
So, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
really
Thanks.
enjoy these
Yeah,
conversations
they're
so
fun.
much, all right? And I look forward to seeing all of you, so
Yeah.
thanks again.
Can't wait to have you come.
Thank you all again for joining us, and we hope to see you on the 15th, 14th, 15th?
15th is the first night, the Wednesday.
15, 16, and 17.
And 18.
Here at Southside.
15, 16, 17, 18, 7:30, Southside High School
Got it.
Auditorium.
Good. Thanks again, all right? And again, let me repeat, hope to see you there, and it's an exciting experience, and we're looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time. Bye now.